Good morning, everybody. This is Dee Reinhardt with Illinois WorkNet. Today we're talking about exploring careers in our series of webinars, and this one is going to be on career and trends in information technology. This morning, our guest speaker is Paul Cameron, who's been a headhunter for senior technology professionals in the Chicago area for more than 16 years. He is the founder of SpeedUpMyJobSearch.com and president of DriveStaff, an IT recruiting firm in Wheaton, Illinois. He was also the host of the talk radio show Job Talk here in the Chicago area for many years, and he's been recognized as an industry expert by the Chicago Tribune, the Daily Herald, and MSN Careers, to name just a few. And I really appreciate Paul taking the time to join us this morning. Thank you for joining us, and welcome, Paul Cameron.
Well, and thanks for the opportunity to be here.
So let's get started with our discussion. And today what we're going to be talking about is information technology, the career and trend opportunities that is happening in the information technology field, or we're going to call it IT for short. Is that okay with you, Paul?
Absolutely, yes.
All right. So what is the characteristics of somebody in information technology? And before we answer it completely, I'm going to pull this poll question down and cover it up so that they can't see the answers, and we're going to see what our audience thinks are characteristics. Okay. All right?
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
Uh-oh, I should have done a multi-select. Let me move this poll out of the way, and I'll change the poll. You're gonna have to redo your answers here, folks. Let's open it back up. Sorry about that. Quick. Yay, that's much better. Those are the answers I wanted to see.
Thanks.
How are they doing, Paul?
This is really interesting to see. Well, that's great. Critical thinking, definitely important.
All right, we're going to move this poll out of the way so that Paul can tell us what his ideas are, since he's actually recruiting in this field. So thank you for your answers, everybody. So what are some information technology characteristics?
Well, in critical thinking, yeah, for sure is very important. That was one of the answers. I didn't see the other two answers that I've got here on the list, because I'll tell you, one of the things, it sounds bizarre, but I've got so many clients that very specifically ask me for somebody who's passionate about technology. They say, well, listen, we're looking for somebody who really wants to learn this and has the passion for it. We're not looking for somebody who's going to say, yeah, I'll do that. I can do that. I've got clients even designing interview questions around this. Like, for example, I've got a client right now that specifically asks during their interviews, are you the type of person that when a new operating system comes out for the iPhone or for whatever phone you have, that you need to go and get it and download it right now to start playing with it? Or do you want to wait until all the bugs get hashed out and then you'll get it? And they're looking for the person who wants to go get it and start playing with it right now.
That's a really good question.
Yeah. Not looking for that person who just sits back and waits for everything to get brought to them. So they want passionate people more than anything right now.
Yeah. And so what kind of other things do people need to learn? And we're going to talk about some certificates and stuff, but somebody, do they work by themselves? Is it a team environment? What are some of the characteristics otherwise that we had on that list that they filled out?
You know, and I appreciate you asking that. There is a number of things. When you think of IT, a lot of times you do think that, okay, here's this guy who's going to go work in the corner by himself on the computer, and that's not it anymore, because IT is so ingrained in so many different areas of the organization. They have to be communicating with everybody throughout the company. So they need somebody who can document what they're doing, and they need someone who can kind of communicate what they need or what they're doing as they're doing it, to make sure that they're coming up with the optimal solution. And the other piece of it that I guess I didn't mention is somebody who can take initiative and get things fixed, looking for solutions rather than waiting for somebody to come and tell them to fix something. I had one client who said, the guy that you're replacing, this guy would sit at his desk, and if his computer on his desk was on fire, he would sit there and read a book until someone walked over and told him to fix the computer that's burning on his desk.
Oh.
So they need people who can look for problems, say, hey, what about this, and suggest things.
Be forward thinking or be proactive rather than reactive.
Yes, exactly.
We have a question from Marilyn in the audience. It says, is a bachelor's degree required for all IT jobs?
You know what I would say, even, I don't want to say that, I don't know if I should say this, but it's for IT, you find it a lot less prevalent for the hands-on roles, for like, your network administrators, for kind of your mid-level developers, that kind of thing. To get into the senior level roles, you do see that requirement more often. But with your hands-on IT, the help desk guys, the support techs, those types of folks, what tends to happen is they find that they're really good at computers right out of high school, and somebody offers them a good job, while they're trying to get a degree, and then they go do that. So it's pretty common to not have a degree in technology. Not saying you shouldn't go get a degree. You certainly should. The unemployment rate is less than half for people who have a degree versus those who don't. But in IT, you can certainly get away without having one.
Sure. Let's move on to this next slide and look at what are some of the trends for careers in information technology. And Paul just mentioned that, yes, you can get a degree, but what about just certifications?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need a degree for those certifications?
You don't necessarily need a degree for the certifications, but I'll tell you that the certifications definitely are becoming a barrier to entry in some respects, especially at the management level. I'm seeing a lot of calls for those ITIL certifications, ITIL.
And what's that stand for? What does that stand for?
You know what? That's a wonderful question, Dee, that I don't even know the answer to.
Oh, goodness, okay.
I honestly don't. I know that they're looking for somebody with an ITIL certification. I can tell you what it does essentially is it's a methodology to where somebody coming into a new environment will, not to oversimplify it for those out there familiar with the ITIL certification, but you'll quantify where you're at in terms of number of servers and percentage of downtime, and quantify specifically where you're at today, so that a year from now you can point to exactly how much you've progressed since then. And it's kind of a mindset and methodology of the organization so that they can continue to grow.
All right,
year
I
after
just looked
year.
it up. It actually stands for Information Technology Infrastructure Library.
Hey, wonderful. All right, and that makes sense. I honestly have never looked that up before, Dee. And then the PMP certification also for project managers. That's been around for a while, but it's always helpful. It's not a guarantee for a job, and I don't see a lot of companies saying, well, they've got to have that PMP. Maybe once in a while. But I do hear of several companies saying I need that ITIL certification. If you're in networking, having a CCNA is good. Having a CCNP is better. If you can get a CCIE, you can work anywhere you want. That's one that it's not a requirement. They don't require it because so few people actually have it. I've got lots of people who have passed the written but not gone on to complete the certification. But if you can get a CCIE, that's right in your own ticket. And then for security professionals, I am seeing a lot of companies requiring people to have a CISSP,
which is a Certified Information Systems Security Professional. Ooh, that's a
Perfect.
mouthful.
Thank you. Yes. I think that's why they went with the acronym.
Yeah.
Nice. So, and those are definitely helpful. Really, any certification that you get, though, drives at the first point of that you're passionate about that particular discipline that you're in. When you go out and get a certification in whatever area it is that's your technology of choice, that's a strong statement that this isn't just something I'm hoping to do someday. This is something I'm very serious about, and I've gone as far as to get a certification for it.
Right. So let's talk about that first bullet point about more automation and computer-controlled processes.
You know what? There are a number of systems and processes throughout all of the different departments. From handling claims, in HR to just getting reports out to, just a number of things that normally would take hours and hours or days or weeks to get things done. These companies, what they're trying to do, of what I'm seeing, and the new systems that are coming out, they're all geared around automating things.
Mm-hmm.
Even
right.
Right down to sending out emails of here, I send them this email and they're automatically going to get another email a week from now or another email 3 weeks from now, reminding them to do whatever it is that they're doing. And all of the CRM systems out there, the customer relationship management tools and ERP systems will be centered around that and adding new tools to automate the daily processes. And that's what's advancing so much in technology is why there's so many more technology jobs opening every day, because they need more people who can program this stuff.
Right. One of the things, we just had a career trends in manufacturing, and CNC processors are all IT driven now. So in some cases, an IT expert might be required to help fix one of those computer led manufacturing tools. So there
Mm-hmm.
is cross-departmental need for IT people.
Absolutely, yeah. Literally every department, unless they're writing stuff down with a pencil in a notebook, they're using a computer system.
Yeah.
And I don't know anybody who's doing that anymore. So they're
Well, even at hospitals, all of the nurse, the patient techs and the nurses
mm-hmm.
are all rolling down the hallway with laptops so that they can keep track of their patients' cares. Diane, I typed in CISSP just a couple of points above where you asked your question. Okay, so continuing education. Is it up to the individual, or is it something that a company will help them with?
Well, I would put it on your own shoulders to get it done. There are some companies there's a lot of companies that will help pay for that and offer tuition reimbursement for relevant certifications and furthering your degrees. But that's something that even during your interviews, that would be something that I would inquire about. Of when you're going through the benefits and maybe a second or third interview, to ask them about tuition reimbursement so you can find out what they'll be able to do and pay for. Because some of these certifications are really expensive to have to do it yourself, thousands of dollars. So if you can get a company to help take care of that for you, that's certainly going to be a help. But you have to be proactively asking about it.
Right. Right. I'm going to take a link and put it in from ONET about some information for the whole career cluster on information technology. If you want to go there and take a look, it will give you the jobs that are high growth as well as the information about the particular job. So it's always good information to have. But let's talk a little bit now. What are the best ways for somebody to stay updated in information technology?
To stay updated in information technology, well, it's going to depend on your field of choice, in IT, because it's such a huge term. But within each one, There's a number of ways. You can, there's a lot of different user group communities out there, and kind of almost like subcultures of people that will get together on a weekly basis, and or have very specific, newsletter information, that type of thing. A lot of subscription sites out there. There's one that's a lot of tech people will subscribe to called lynda.com, which is lynda.com, which is, you can learn about virtually any technology area that you want to be up to date on. But just proactively going out and looking for these different user groups and opportunities to stay up to date as things come out.
While we were talking about this presentation, putting it together, you talked about the second bullet, search hidden but public ATS sites. And ATS stands for Applicant Tracking Systems.
Correct.
Let's talk a little bit about that bullet point.
Okay. So and the technology guys will definitely relate to where I'm going with this, because this is definitely a tech means of finding hidden positions. But I'm sure everybody's familiar with when you send your resume into a company, it goes into what's called an applicant tracking system. And that applicant tracking system, it's essentially when a company says, hey, I'm going to search my database, that applicant tracking system, or ATS, that's what they're talking about. They hold all of their candidate resumes in there and their jobs in there. And the thing is, they cannot post those jobs, or they can't advertise all of those jobs, because it's just so, it's very, very costly to advertise all those jobs, or maybe it's a confidential search along those lines. But if they can put it on their website, it's gotten to the point now where all they have to do is click a checkbox, and all of a sudden it appears on their website, or they uncheck it and it comes off their website. Well, in order for that function to be possible, they all have to be sitting in a public website, which if you know how to find that website, you can just search through all the open jobs. And just very, very quickly, all you have to do is go to like Indeed.com and do a search for any job. Doesn't matter what it is. You're not looking for the job itself. You're looking for the postings. Click on each one of those postings, and if you see that the company name that's advertising the job is not in the URL, not in the website address, that means you stumbled onto their applicant tracking system. And if you do a site search on that domain that you just found on that website address, and then space, for the job title that you're looking for, you're going to find literally tens of thousands of jobs just sitting online, not being advertised anyplace. For a very quick, easy video, if you find me on YouTube, or if you go to speedupmyjobsearch.com, go to the blog and look for a blog called Finding Hidden Jobs Online. It's not luck. And there's a really quick 5-minute video in there you can watch, and it'll show you specifically how to do that. But it's very, very simple, and there's just thousands of jobs sitting out there that you can go and look through.
Well, I just put your Speed Up My Job Search link in the chat pod, and the title for that blog post that you just mentioned.
Wonderful, thank you.
So there are other publications. I did a quick Google search, and I found probably twice as many publications for IT kind of things as I've got listed here on the screen, and then different websites where you can stay up to date on the technology, and as well as this association link where I think on that list there were 100 different associations related to information technology. And I think one of the things that people need to know is what's coming up in the future. Getting a certification that is 15 years old might be helpful if you're going back and you're helping make changes on things, but people need to stay up to date on what's new and what's different.
And that's, I don't want to extend you too long here, Dee, but that was one of the reasons we're talking about. Go to the specific user groups, and something maybe you don't think of a lot. If you're talking to somebody who's currently in an IT position, just to ask them the question. They'll love to answer this, but just to ask them, hey, what do you see as the next big thing out there? not specifically what should I go look for and kind of job should I go after, kind of a thing. Just what do you think the next big thing is? And as you keep talking to more tech people, you start seeing a preponderance of evidence here that all seem to point to voice over IP technology, or they're pointing to this new ERP system that's out, or whatever it is. That's where you can kind of tune in to what the next thing's going to be.
Great. Another thing that people can do in addition to social media, like LinkedIn or the groups out there, they can also set up a Google alert for a specific topic so that they get notified in their email about anything going on in a particular area. I like that. I like that tip.
That's a great idea.
Well, I would really like to thank Paul Cameron from drivestaff.com for joining us today, and I did put his other website in there, speedupmyjobsearch.com, so you can find Paul at either of those places. And if you download the presentation, his contact information is on the second slide of our presentation today. So thanks very much, Paul, for giving us some time today. I appreciate you sharing your wonderful information and knowledge with our listeners today.
Thanks for the opportunity. This was great.
All right. Have a great day, everybody, and watch for our other sessions on healthcare and